This is simply a overview of perspective. I'm going to talk about isometric perspective, 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, and 3-point perspective. So in my first section here, I've got set up a sort of a grid, and this grid is only to sort of get the gist of where an object lies in space. And so if you look at this, I don't know if you can see this, you kind of have to adjust your eyes and hold your mouth just right, and to understand that this is sort of like a plane that goes back into space. Okay, now it can easily just look like a bunch of diamonds with some lines and some diagonals and all that, but try and look at it as if it goes back into space. And the more I work with this, the more you're going to see what I'm talking about. So this first one is isometric perspective. Isometric perspective. Now the difference between isometric and the other ones is that in isometric there are no vanishing points, which you'll understand more about vanishing points in a minute when I go over 1-point, 2-point, 3-point. But plainly in isometric perspective there are no points, and all the lines that are parallel to one another remain parallel to one another. I'm going to draw a box right here using these lines as just sort of a guideline. I don't have to draw right on those lines. I can draw anywhere I want to, but I'm going to use them as sort of a guide for my isometric perspective. I'm doing this in pen so you can see the difference between what I'm drawing and the suggested lines in the background. I've got a few lines that kind of go beyond what they should, but I think it's plain to see the cube or the box right here, and it has a sense of dimension to it, this being the left side, the right side, and the top. And this is an isometric perspective. And you can continue to embellish this, but I'm not going to at this point. I just wanted you to see an isometric box. Now for the next one, we're going to look at 1-point perspective. A 1-point, as stated, has a singular point. This point is the vanishing point. For this particular one, I'm going to start with pencil just to make sure I got everything right, and then I'll highlight. And again, I'm just drawing a box. Now, in 1-point perspective, you have basically 3 kinds of lines, 3 different lines. You have horizontal, vertical, and then thirdly you have orthogonal. Horizontal lines are just what it sounds like. They're lines that go across. Vertical lines go up and down, but orthogonal lines go to this vanishing point. So I'm going to draw over here, I'm going to draw a little rectangle. Which, by the way, this line should be parallel with the bottom of the paper. You can see this as like the front of the box. So if this is the front here, it is no longer turned away from us, but now facing us. I'm going to draw this top corner going to the vanishing point. This is an orthogonal line. This one going to the vanishing point, also an orthogonal line. And this one going to the vanishing point, also an orthogonal line. Now the reason that I don't draw this one is assuming the box is opaque, meaning I can't see through it, I would not be able to see this back corner, so I'm not going to bother drawing that one, at least not right now. The back of the box is going to do whatever the front does. So if the front goes straight across like this, then the back of the box has got to go straight across like that as well. Notice I just went between this line and this line because this front of the box is only between this line and this line. And then this line is also the front of the box, and it's between this line and this line. So back here at that corner, I'm going to do a line that is parallel with the side of the paper. And now I have a box in 1 point perspective. And I'm just going to kind of outline it for you real quick. A little crooked there, but now you have a box in 1 point perspective. Quite a bit of difference between this one and this one. The next one is 2 point perspective. In 2 point perspective, you're going to have two kinds of lines. Your vertical lines and your orthogonal lines. The reason is that you're still going to have lines that go up and down, your vertical ones, but your orthogonal lines are replacing the horizontal lines altogether. Any line that would have been horizontal, like this, is now going to be an orthogonal line. So for this 2 point perspective, I'm going to put my vanishing points, one over here and one straight across from it over here. I'm going to start with the front of my box, one front edge that is vertical, parallel with the side of the paper. Then I'm going to decide where the top of the box should be and where the bottom of the box should be, and I'm going to draw lines that go to the vanishing point. One of the vanishing points. The right side of the box goes to the right side, and the left side of the box goes to the left side. Now you kind of have to be careful with perspective, because especially with 2 point and 3 point, because the closer the lines are together, the more distorted your image is going to be, and the further apart, the flatter your image is going to be. So hopefully this will work out. So now I'm going to decide where the back of the box needs to be, and I'm going to do it shorter on this side and a little bit longer over here on this side, just so it's not a complete cube. I'm going to start right corner. The back of the box is going to go to this vanishing point over here, and this back of the box over here is going to go to that vanishing point over there. Where they meet is sort of the back of the box. And now I'm going to go over it in Sharpie so you can see what I'm talking about. There. And there's 2 point perspective for you. Last but not least, we're going to do 3 point perspective. 3 point perspective, all of your lines are going to be orthogonal lines. Notice how in 1 point there was 3 kinds of lines, in 2 point there was 2 kinds of lines, and in 3 point there's only 1 kind of line. All of your vertical and horizontal lines have now become orthogonal lines. There are 3 different vanishing points. I'm going to put one up here, one over here, and one down here in the middle. And these can be organized differently than this, but this is kind of the basic setup. And I'm determined that I want to put my box right here in the middle, and this is going to be the corner facing me. All of your lines are going to go to the to the vanishing points. Now 3 point is really dramatic looking, and as I said before, the closer your dots, the closer your vanishing point, the more distorted it's going to be, and the further out, the flatter it's going to be. So you kind of got to play with it a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to put like if this is the front corner facing me, this is the top, the left, and the right side of the box. And I'm going to make this go to the vanishing point. This is going to be the back of the box over here. And that corner also has a corresponding line edge that goes to the bottom vanishing point. And now you can kind of see this edge of something, like the edge going facing up and the edge facing over, or face facing. So I've got my box up here going long ways this way. I'm going to do this one different since I made that like that. I'm going to do this one a little bit longer going this direction. Put that on the vanishing point. On the vanishing point. So now I've got, like, all these lines are going to the vanishing points. And then I'm going to determine the bottom of the box to be right there. And again, I'm just kind of making this up as I go. I mean, this is a real thing, but I'm just making the box up as I go. And so now you can see a 3-point perspective box. And it's fairly dramatic looking. So, recap. Isometric perspective. All the lines are parallel that should be. 1-point perspective. Horizontals are parallel with one another, verticals are parallel with one another, and orthogonal lines go to the vanishing point, the single vanishing point. 2-point perspective. Verticals are all parallel with one another and parallel with the side of the paper. And all of the orthogonal lines go to either this vanishing point over here or this vanishing point over here. And in 3-point perspective, all the lines go to one vanishing point or the other. So those 3 go to that one, these 3 go to this one, and those 3 go to this one. That is perspective basics. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thumbs up, subscribe, let me know what you think down in the comments. Good luck. Go make some art, preferably perspective art, now that I went over all this with you.